Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, I'm going to discuss and share how to solve some of questions in the International Mathematics, paper 2. Now we start from number 1. Now, this number 1 is actually about the standard form, percentage, and absolute values. Now we actually start from the 1A. The question started, it was stated that write 375 times 10 to the power of 12 in standard form. Now, how we do this? It's actually easy. So the first step is that we use the idea of moving the dots, okay, or moving the decimal. So here we see that the more we go to the left, what happens is that the number of the exponent is getting more positives. So in this case, we move to the left 2 times, which means that we get the additional of 10 power of square, 10 square I mean. So, or which is equivalent to 100. And then you will see that when it's actually the dot moves to 2 steps to the left, instead of 375 now becomes 3.75. And then we have 3.75 times 10 power of 2 and also times the 10 power of 12. And remember, because they already have the same base, which is 10, therefore the exponent can be can be operated by the addition. So 3.75 times 10 power of 2 plus 12. So we get the final result as 3.75 times 10 power of 14. So that's our result for. Now we discuss number 2. Now if you see, the question is actually asking calculate 75% of $2.4. So what we should do is actually basically is simple and easy. So 75% we actually deal with percentage, which basically we need to find the simplifications of this, which is find the simplest form in terms of fraction. So we actually get as that 75% is equal to 75 over 100, which is equal to 3 over 4. And then this 3 over 4, which is the third step, times 2.4. And then we get 3 times 0.6, which is equal to $1.8. And now we move to 1C. Solve the equation when x plus 1, there is a bracket of absolute value, is equal to 2. Now, if we have this kind of question, what we should do is that we need to be able to interpret the idea of absolute values here in the equations of x plus 1. What does it mean is that it is equal to, x plus 1 is equal to plus minus 2. Plus minus is actually the meaning or the interpretation of the absolute value or the absolute bracket here. So what we should do for the third step is that we need to divide the process there. So we deal with the plus 1 and then later we deal with the minus 1. So we start from x plus 1 is equal to plus 2. Then x is equal to plus 2 minus 1. Why is it minus 1? Because the plus 1 moves to the right side, then it becomes a minus. Then we have x is equal to 1. That's our first x. And then we go to the fourth step. We use the idea of the minus value of 2. So x plus 1 is equal to minus 2. Then we get x is equal to minus 2 minus 1. And then x is equal to minus 3. Therefore, we have two values of x. X is equal to 1 or x is equal to minus 3. Now we move to number 2. Now, this number 2 is related to Venn diagram. The problem with this question is that we need to be very careful about the information given. Any detail given, we need to pay attention. We need to pay more attention about it. For example, the universal members, the number of universal members are 20. The number of elements of A is 10. Number of elements of B is equal to 7. And then N, union with B, the number of elements A union B is equal to 13. So the first question is asking find what's actually the number of elements of A union B but the complement value. So the first thing I think what we actually do is that we draw a good diagram, just a simple one. It doesn't have to be exact, but it gives you a big picture. So what I actually draw here is that there are two circles, there's intersection, and then there's this rectangle. Now, if we actually already see that there is the idea of union, it means there's the idea of intersections. This is about the cross relationship between union and intersection. But it's not necessarily always the case, but we assume this is the case for this time. So I assume it as x. The value of intersection is x. So NA is 10. It means 10 is included also with the intersection. Therefore, if we want to know the value of people who only do A, is 10 minus x. Again, the people who actually do only A is 10 minus x. Now, the same case with the ones that actually do B. Therefore, it's not only 7, but it's 7 minus x. Okay? And then the outside is equal to 3. 7. Why is it 7? Later we actually can find out. Now we start with I. The question I is actually we have to find the number of elements of A union B, but the complement ones. So how we actually solve this? Now we start to the interpretation of what's actually the meaning of NA union B complement. It means that it is anything outside A union B. The first step is that now we know that the number of universal, the whole thing is 20. And then we know the number of elements A union B is equal to 13. Therefore, an A union B A complementary is equal to the universal minus the union, which is 20 minus 13. So it is equal to 7. So basically, we already answered that, okay? So 7 is already clear. And then we go to II. II asks, what is the number of elements of A intersection B? Now, A intersection B, as we actually have assumed, that's the X. Okay, that's the X. Now, I draw a simple diagram here. Now, we go to the first step of II. The first one is that to answer this, we need to assume the value of intersection as X. This is something that I already discussed about before. And then the second one is that we know that the number of elements in A is 10 and number of elements B is equal to 7. And we need to remember in the third step that both of them are influenced by the intersection. That's why there is the idea of 10 minus x and 7 minus x. And then, therefore, the whole equations in the Venn diagram will be, you see this, we know that the number of elements A union B is 13. And 13 consists of these equations, 10 minus x plus the intersection plus 7 minus x, which is equal to 13. So since we know there's minus x, plus x, minus x, what remains is that there is still the minus x. So 17 plus x minus 2x is equal to 13. That's our seventh step. The x step is 17 minus x is equal to 13. Then the next step is 17 minus 13, which is equal to x. Therefore, the intersection value or number of elements in the intersection is equal to 4. Wow, this is amazing, guys. This is amazing. Now we move to question B. On the Venn diagram, shade the region of A union B complementary. I always ask to my students that it is important to draw accurately. So, as I said, what I mean by draw accurately is that by drawing accurately, it will help us to understand what the question really wants us to do. For example, because it was stated A union B, I need to define what A means. Now, in this question, I define A as slanted right lines. Right slanted lines, whatever you can call it, but basically it's right slanted ones. And then I draw it. And then I draw B accent or B complementary as the horizontal lines. Okay? And then I draw both of them. And then what we see is that union is not actually that both of them has to be crossed. But if one of them actually crosses the line, that's already part of the members. Okay? So what's actually the A union B complementary? This is, guys. So as you can see from our first diagram, we can see that A union B accent is the red ones. The red random texture or configurations that actually I draw here, the red ones. We actually can assume that AUB accent is basically the complementary of the only people that actually do B, because the only area that actually not being shaded is the people who actually only do B, or the people actually already inside the B without the influence of the intersection. Okay. Now we move to the third question, which is actually involving or relates to the idea of linear equations of the equation of line. Now, it was stated that the equation of a straight line is 3x plus 4y is equal to 12. Write the equation in the form of y is equal to mx plus c. Answer y is equal to here, blah, blah, blah. This type of questions is easy. Why I said that? Because basically we just need to play around with the equation given. For example, we start with the equation given, which is 3x plus 4y is equal to 12. Because our main concern is about y, then 4y is equal to 12, and then the 3x move to the right side, which is the third step in here. So 4y is equal to 12 minus 3x, and then y itself is equal to 12 minus 3x over 4. And then we get that y is equal to 12 over 4 minus 3 over 4x, and then y is equal to 3 minus 3 over 4x. Therefore, we get the final answer, y is equal to mxc, in which the m or gradient is equal to minus 3 over 4, and then the y-intercept or c is equal to 3. Sounds easy. Now we move to the question number 4. The volume of the sphere of radius 3 cm is k pi centimeter cube. Find the value of k. So what we should do here? Now, a sphere commonly, or it has to be, the volume it has to be, the formula is 4 over 3 PR cube. So, we actually given that the value of radius is 3 centimeter. And then we just substitute all the information given. So, 4 over 3 times pi times r cube, which is 3 cube. So, what do we get? So, 4 over 3 pi times 3 cube, which is equal to 27. So, we get 36 pi centimeter cube. Therefore, k is equal to 36. I think this one is easy. And then we move to the number 5 here. Simplify square root of 124. Simplify the square root of 125. And then what we should do here is that we will need to simplify this. We need to find what's actually the factor of 125. The first step is that square root of 125 is equal to square root of 25 times 5. Why actually I do that? Because 25 is a root of 5. And then what happens is that we can make the 25 to be put outside, which is 5. So we get the final result as 5 square root of 5. And then we move to the last question. Simplify 1 over square root of 6 minus square root of 3 by rationalizing the denominator. So the first step is that how we actually rationalize the denominator. We rationalize the denominator by using the denominator but finding the inverse operation of it. For example, we see that the denominator is square root of 6 minus square root of 3. So if we see minus, then something actually the inverse of it, inverse operation of it is plus. So 1 over square root of 6 minus square root of 3 is equal to times square root of 6 plus square root of 3 over square root of 6 plus square root of 3. So we get square root of 6 plus square root of 3 over square root of 6 minus square root of 3 times square root of 6 6 plus square root of 3. Now, in the third step, we need to remember this beautiful rule. The rule is a plus b times a minus b is equal to a square minus b square. By knowing this, we will save the time. We will save the time being. So, square root of 3 of plus the square root of 3, which is the numerator, over the square root of 6 minus square root of 3 times square root of 6 plus square root of 3. Basically, what we should do with the denominator is just square root of 6 square minus square root of 3 square. So, the final calculation is that square root of 6 plus square root of 3 over 6 minus 3. So, we found it, the final result as square root of 6 plus square root of 3 over 3. Which is the beautiful calculation, or the beautiful final result is that a third times square root of 6 plus square root of 3. I hope you guys learned a lot from this tutorial. Please ask questions if you have any concern here. And I hope we can actually discuss here. And then if you have a question, I will try to answer it. Yeah. Thank you.